wrong fucking...
They've changed
All
that
right,
studio.
I'm going to try it again.
I
Here we
think
go.
like an event or something from a previous key.
I'm going to try it again. Here we go.
Let me check my...
I'm actually starting now.
Check my settings. So weird.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream. Richard Hart, multimillionaire genius, billionaire, depending on what kind of units you're counting in. Bitcoin expert, blockchain expert, cryptocurrency expert. Been mining since early 2011. Full 50 Bitcoin block rewards with no pool, mine solo. Got my own cryptocurrency coming out. We're in audit now. Audit should be done in 4 weeks and 2 days. It's called HEX, hex.win. I think it's better than Bitcoin. Designed it to be that way. Talking today with Josiah. If you want to introduce yourself.
So I'm Josiah. I'm involved with Digibyte. Wasn't solo mining Bitcoin at 50 BTC blocks. I was involved with it back when GPU mining. So I managed to convince my then wife that it was a good idea for me to go out and spend a few grand, like our last of our savings, on a couple of high-end Radeon R9, like 290Xs or something.
When I got in,
right as the
5970s.
Butterfly Lab stuff started coming out. So yeah, I've got a really bad habit of doing terrible things like that, but you live and learn, right? So yeah, I'm from New Zealand. Not everything I say is meant to be taken too seriously. Here to have a good time.
This is the reason we're doing a 3 a.m. Miami stream, because Australia.
So I'm Josiah. I'm involved with Digibyte.
New Zealand, really. It's apparently there's this thing where no one ever, when they're going to push updates to their software, they always have to worry about, the New Zealand and Australian users, because everyone else is asleep, but you guys are up,
That's why Google and Niantic have started rolling shit out to us first. So if anyone's getting an update, it's just us first of all, probably because it's at night. And they're like, did it work? Did everything fall over? No? Okay, all right, here you go, America. Here you go. The rest of the world that we actually care about. It doesn't matter about the 4.5 million people out there. No one gives a shit. But hey, thanks for testing it for us before the Americans woke up.
Right. So did we have a list of stuff that we should talk about, or are we winging it? Do you have a list?
I'm pretty sure we're just winging it.
Okay.
I think we sort of said that at some point it'd be cool to talk about HEX a little bit, to talk about Digibyte.
I'm going to save HEX for absolutely last, because everyone on my channel knows about it or should. So I think we should do that last. Let's do all the other stuff first. So we were talking about Litecoin, which I should have put in the... So apparently there's this leaked conversation from people that are in the Litecoin Foundation regarding the fact that there's no development going on whatsoever, and that there's only ever been 3 people that have actually done any development. One of them left to work for Blockstream, another one I think is MIA, and then that just leaves Charlie, and Charlie doesn't want to pay anyone to do any work, or I don't know.
Apparently he does. Apparently he's tried to throw money at it, but people are like, no.
Well, his language specifically was, if this leaked chat is accurate, that it's not something you can throw money at. You actually have to have a qualified person that wants to work on it.
Yeah.
You can't just
yeah.
You can't just throw it blockchain. So if you want to bring someone from not working on Bitcoin Core to working on Bitcoin Core, it takes them about 9 months before they can learn it enough to make a useful commit, apparently. And that's if someone's quite good. If they're not quite good, they may never be able to make a useful commit because it's complex and hard. So
cryptography's not easy.
Cryptography's not easy, but most of the problems that we run into with writing crypto software isn't the cryptography usually. It's other stuff. So
like the networking layers and stuff, the problems we implemented Dandelion. Dandelion has nothing to do with cryptography, but it's all about only sending your shit to some people and
Yeah. So most of the upgrades you see in Bitcoin are not cryptographic upgrades, right? We replaced the engine that we use to verify things from OpenSSL to libsec P256K, I think. And it's just much faster and has less attack surface for less errors, because OpenSSL turned out to be buggy. But no one knew that because no one was really eyeballing it hard enough. So the issue with Litecoin is apparently Now, look, this is just a rumor, right? I don't have any verification this is accurate. Kind of looked pretty plausible. I mean, there's nothing.
It's in
really
their Telegram.
outrageous
You
in
can
there.
check on Telegram you can check people's like if it's the forwarded message, it's got their original.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's legit. Sadly.
Yeah. So I mean, look, if you're in crypto and you're looking for projects that aren't making technical advances, they're all over the place. And I should make a disclaimer. We have a GitHub for HEX, and it never gets any updates because when you if you want, long story short, we ended up with 2 repos. So GitHub was our public one, and then the one we actually worked on was GitLab. And so I could either have developers testing and pushing code and doing good things, or I could have them caring about making the GitHub pretty, which for me, it's just like, I don't care if the GitHub's pretty or not. Barely anyone's looking at it anyway. Let's actually get the product out and make it awesome, so we spend our time in GitLab. But for advanced, if I cared more about what people would value the token at, then I would push more commits to the GitHub, because some investors care about how many stars your GitHub has and how many commits it has, right?
Sure.
And ours doesn't.
But at the same time, you're not telling people that you're doing all of this and all of this and claiming responsibility for Bitcoin.
Yeah. So the big argument there with Litecoin was Litecoin pumped on saying they were going to have confidential transactions rolled in, and then no one's working on it and nothing's happening. And then now people are like, oh, well, maybe we shouldn't have done that pump thing then, right? Yeah.
Like this is what stops me from getting my friends and family so much into blockchain, into cryptocurrency, anything like that, because they come along and they'll most people sadly jump on CoinMarketCap, right? Mm-hmm. And they start at the top and they work their way down. And if they're going to go and they're going to see like number 5, cool, these guys are about to do some confidential transaction stuff. I don't know what that means because I don't know what a confidential transaction is, but everybody's all excited about it. And I go on the Litecoin Foundation, they've got these 2 full-time developers over here, and wow, everything looks fantastic, and it's all like a bunch of lies. That's why I'm not keen on, like, friends and family ask me, should I get into blockchain, get into cryptocurrency? And I'm like, oh,
it's hard to recommend anything. So
it's all speculative, really.
Yeah. I mean, so in Bitcoin, if you were able to hold for a 3-year window, you've always been profitable because it's never been down for more than 3 years.
Yeah.
It still went down from 20K to 3K, which is about 85%.
Yeah.
Digibyte went down 99.44% versus Bitcoin. Versus the dollar, it went down like 93 something. So either one of these, if you bought the top, is going to make you a very unhappy camper. So you kind of have to understand that tops do exist. They're more likely to exist the longer that a bull market has run. So some people think that we might be in the top in Bitcoin now. I think that's dumb. I don't think that you do a 5-month bull run. It doesn't make any sense to me, right? No. I don't think, like, people haven't even had a chance to get long to get wrecked yet. We haven't seen a 10% premium on futures yet. We haven't seen a 6%. We haven't seen a 5%. We've seen like a 2% premium on futures, which is very low, right? So if you believe in this narrative of max pain and the market does whatever will hurt the most people, which I don't believe in, because anyone that got long the S&P 500 ever is doing great. Anyone that got long Bitcoin ever, except for this tiny window of 3-month period, bought lower. So there's only been 3 months in the entire 10-year history of Bitcoin where you could have possibly lost money holding. So I don't believe in the max pain narrative, really. And I don't believe in like going up 4.5x in 5 months and then revisiting the lows. No. So we couldn't even get a dip. We couldn't even get a 25% dip until this just recent, where we went from 14 to 9100, which is like a 36% dip.
I mean, that's the first dip we got.
That's the first dip we got, which I've been waiting for, right? I'm like, thank God. So I told everyone that listens to me, caveat, not an investment advisor, you're 100% responsible for your own trades. I think 10,000 at 1.48x leverage with a liquidation price under 6,000 is an absolutely fantastic trade. I think the risk reward is great. You should not get down to 6,000, right? The trick is to be smart and not use more leverage and not think that it can't, go under where you think it could. That's how people get wrecked in a bull market. If you get wrecked in a bull market, you're really stupid. If you use low leverage, you shouldn't get wrecked. So if it's a bull market, if it's not a bull market, you can go make new lows, right? But I think 4.5x in 5 months is bullish, right?
Yeah.
So I wouldn't recommend any of these things for store of value unless you have a greater than 3 year time horizon, and then you're good. The last bear market only lasted 364 days, so that's not a very long time.
It's certainly not for a store of value, especially long term when you're thinking about potentially, if the Bitcoin time traveler is to be believed. I mean, he's not. But if you look at that kind of a future where there are governments and the likes purchasing up decent chunks of Bitcoin, sure, like, who really gives a shit if it's down for 364 days? Does it really matter? Like, in the grand scheme of things, I mean, sure, obviously, if that's your buying power, but if you are the reserve currency, if it is the reserve currency,
I don't think we're near reserve currency. I don't think we're near.
No,
currency.
it's a long way off.
Nobody like it is. Nobody uses this stuff, so.
Right, it's a chicken and egg problem, though, right? How do you start people using it if it's unreliable? It's unreliable because people won't use it. And
well, it's less reliable the more people use it. It's more reliable the less people use it. When I first got into Bitcoin, it was free to mine. You didn't have to buy an ASIC. You could just use the hardware you already had, right? It was free to send transactions. Putting a fee with your transaction was totally optional. Most people just didn't do it. People would process your transaction anyway. You didn't need fees, right? And now, the more people that use it, the slower it is, the less likely your transaction is to get rolled in, the more expensive it is. So there's a lot of, it's hard for me to present the nuance of my position because so many people are stupid that they can't understand it. I think the Bitcoin price is going to go up a lot higher than it is now. I also think that the technology has been stagnant for a couple years. It has not improved. And that the rate at which we're getting new users has slowed down. The rate at which on-chain transactions occurring has gone down. The rate of Google searches has gone down. There's a lot of fundamental problems with crypto and with Bitcoin. I still think the price can go up 10x from here, right? Yeah. I still think we could easily do 20K by the end of the year, easily. So to be not impressed with the social progress, not impressed with the technological progress, but still see huge financial opportunity is where I'm at. And just like we talked about, Litecoin pumped hard as fuck for no reason. There was no reason. They had one advertisement on a UFC match.
That didn't even pump it. It was from Mimble discussions. So they did their UFC stuff. Price didn't actually change, if memory serves me right. Same for this Miami Dolphins thing.
Yeah. Now I don't want to shit talk Litecoin. It is an honest proof of work coin. It does an alternate proof of work. I believe in other cryptocurrencies that have alternate proofs of work in case ever there's a problem with SHA-256. Digibyte uses, I think, 4 or 5 different algorithms. Primecoin uses finding prime numbers. Litecoin uses scrypt, which some people call script, which is like a memory hard hashing algorithm, which favors GPUs or ASICs that are memory enhanced. And, I support those things. They're fine. Now, does that mean that they're priced accurately? Perhaps not, right? I think the room for being inaccurately priced in anything that drops 90+% is large. So, should Bitcoin be 12,000? I don't know. Should Litecoin be whatever it is? I don't know, right? So I'm a technical analyst. I can look at the chart and tell you what it has done, what it's likely to do. But from a fundamental basis, good luck trying to figure that out.
Exactly.
Fundamentals don't matter.
It's so speculative right now, and it is let's be honest, that's what a lot of this is based around. A lot of people are here because they want to get rich and they want to do it yesterday. So sure, I mean, in that kind of respect, it doesn't matter if there is no development. Who cares? Doge has no development. No one gives a shit. But the difference is Doge isn't actually out there going, hey, we've got lots of developers. We've got 2 of them full-time on our foundation website.
Yeah, the funny thing is, if you just want to transfer value around, I think Doge works fine. I think most of these cryptocurrencies work fine to move value around over short periods of time. You only have large risk if you're holding for a longer period. And then the rate at which you're getting new users compared to the rate at which old users are dumping is everything. because that's the price. The price is the differential between new money in to money out. It's really that simple.
Right. And so that's what is. How much of that do you think plays into your Litecoin? I mean, it's in the subject of this video. Bitcoin at 130K. How much do you think that plays into like the price appreciation of that? Like,
it's different on the two different pairs. So if you trade the Bitcoin alt pair, right? So like ETH BTC, DGB BTC, then the more fiat goes into Bitcoin, then those pairs get destroyed for the alts. So right now, Ethereum is still going up in USD, but it's at all-time lows. It's lower than its ICO price in BTC. So even though it's up a lot in USD, it's down a lot in BTC because BTC's gone so much higher because all of the USD is being sucked into Bitcoin. So you have to, it depends on the pair you trade. Now, I suggest people always trade the USD pair because USD is an easier opponent. So it's always much easier to appreciate against something that they keep printing all the time. Whereas crypto tends to pump even if it's total garbage. Total, complete garbage will pump. But the Bitcoin dollar, the dollar is not likely to pump, right? They're not doing any upgrades really.
Well, I don't think they can, really.
Well,
you could literally burn it. You could burn the US dollar.
Wouldn't make that much of a difference. If you burned all of the physically printed dollars, they're a very small portion of the total dollars, which are primarily electronic. So, I think that if you're going to be in crypto, you should be biased long. I think you should trade the USD pairs because they're likely to appreciate more. I think shorting for the most part is a bad deal. If you shorted from 20K to 3K, you made 17 grand. If you longed 17 grand at 3K and now it's up to 12K, you made like 60 grand, something like that. So it's just so much mathematically. If you've shorted 20K to 0, you made 20K. If you bought at 0 and held to 20K, you made infinite. So it's like, it's just always better to be long in crypto if you can.
Especially on something where there is a fixed supply and it's finite and everybody can see it. It's on the blockchain. It's mathematically sound. You can't, unless another inflation bug happens, like has happened twice now.
Right.
But
yep. So we have inflation bugs and we have miners just deciding to fork that little rule out, and both of those things can happen. So it's fun as a talking point to brag about proven mathematical scarcity. But in reality, we don't have that shit. We have social consensus that allows that rule to continue to exist. So it's all of these networks are actually socially consensus controlled. And if someone doesn't like the rules, they can just change them. And if all the miners change the rules and all the nodes change the rules are changed for everybody, period. So there used to be a time.
Well, it was like Bitcoin. How much did Binance end up actually losing? I think it was like
45 million, something like that.
45 million.
Yeah.
I remember because CZ was like, no, we can't actually, we can't roll the chain back. I did some back of the napkin math, and I was like, actually, if you took like 3 pulls, like let's just take the top 3 pulls. Mm-hmm. If you offered each of those 3 pulls, I think I mathed it roughly at like 8, 6, and 5 million. Mm-hmm. And said, I want all your hash power for 3 days. Not only would they then make it up, in terms of like the amount of like they'd get their 45 million back. You would have made so let's say only 25 million is profit then for Binance. But in addition to that, those 3 pools have then got 100% of the transaction fees, which each block is about 1.5 Bitcoin at the moment, I think, ballpark, give or take. So they could still very much basically go, okay, we're 12 hours behind. It's going to take us around about, give or take, 3.5 to 4 days maybe to catch up.
Look, if someone stole my keys, if someone stole my coins, and I had the private keys, I would release the private keys to the public and let everyone else steal the money back from the criminals.
Yeah.
I would rather the miners get rich and everyone that didn't rob me get rich than the people that did rob me. Yes. So, and then everyone else's transactions should be fine because they're only fucking with those particular transactions. So, I mean, I look, if you steal shit from me, I'm going to fight back. So, period. Right? Like, so if I were Binance, I mean, Binance has got so much profit and volume that, it's different for them. Their public relations
They've
has
got their
more.
fund and stuff, but at the same time, like 45 million, still 45 million. Doesn't matter who you are. That's a lot of money, especially when you could get effectively half or just over half of it back in about 4 days.
And, the people that would get it, which would be the miners, they obviously, I mean, I can't imagine that they're going to do something worse with it than the criminals, right? Because the criminals are likely to double down on infrastructure and hack more people with their profits. But miners are more likely to just buy more mining hardware, right? So it's, I think it would have been better that the hackers get less money, criminals get less money, and anybody else gets more, pretty much. By the way, the way that works, people that are listening, is once those private keys are released, then it gives anybody that has those keys the ability to make truthful spends from those keys. And if you can rewrite the history to edit out the criminal's usage and input your own usage, then you've basically reversed the theft, right? And as long as you're only doing that for those tokens, and you obviously have the same right to spend them as anyone because you have the private keys, well, it seems legit to me. If you have the private keys, you should be able to spend the coins. These are socially enforced networks anyway, so I don't see the big deal with fucking the criminals out of their money.
Well, it's an interesting topic because it's kind of like, well, but then if they go down that path, then we kind of gotta. It's like a touchy-feely subject where we don't really want to say that you couldn't get collusion from polls or you could get, this kind of thing.
Not going down that path to save some honest people from criminals doesn't make that path not inviolable.
Oh, exactly.
That path still exists, and it will always be there because it's a socially enforced consensus network. And letting those criminals keep that money didn't make the idea go away. So,
arguably, if anything, it rewards it because they've still got that money, right? And like you say, they're now $45 million roughly richer. If they were to sell it
more, that was in the bear market, I think. So maybe they're 200 million.
Well, yeah, it was several months ago now, and it's gone up. I think it was actually around about like 6 or 7K. So if we take 45 million and add another 50% on top, they're doing all right for themselves if they've held
12K now. It should be about 90. I think we're at 11.4 the last time I looked before.
So even if they sell it on the open market at 80 million, they did well for themselves. Good.
Yeah, I guess stealing stuff is profitable, apparently.
Well,
I've gone the hard route of actually building stuff that works, and it's much harder.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because people don't give that enough credit. The amount of difficulty that will go into building something cool that people will use, especially in this space where a white paper will sell.
Yep. It's funny, people shit talk. They're like, scam, it's a scam. You're like, all right, why is it scam? Because
you're giving them free money. What's wrong?
You're like, no, just tell me why. They're stupid. Like, Bitcoin used to be free. Is it a scam?
Yep.
Like, or you could buy it. Is it a scam? No. It was a working network, right? If you launch a working network and people interact with it and voluntarily do whatever they want to do with it, run the code or not, what more do you want, right? Like ICOs that launch and never release a product that just scam everyone out of their money. They sell you a big dream and then they don't build anything. That's terrible, right? Like, you're straight up jacking people. If you do anything where you have a fully complete, like, launched thing, what more do you want? Like, that's the dream. That's the highest and best possible thing that you can get out of crypto, is a working product that does something that that you can't do any other way, pretty much.
Yes, but I'll even go one better. With ICOs, you would have to give them money before they would give you a working product. You're just basically
they'll never give you a working product. You're just not
going
here.
You go. Well, the majority, like 1% or something.
You're right. Look, BNB was an ICO, and they're a multi-billion-dollar project now, and they appear to do very good work. So they are like the only good example of an ICO I've ever seen. Everyone else has been a tragic, horrible failure. Like, can you think of one successful ICO that's not BNB?
Ethereum.
Yeah.
That doesn't count.
Yeah. Yes, Ethereum. Yep. But even in Ethereum's case, like, are they a world computer? Do any dApps have any adoption whatsoever? No.
I think the biggest was CryptoKitties, right? I mean, that's the interesting thing is all of these sort of these DApps for the most part, they don't need to be Turing complete. Like if you're just simply launching, this is obviously where I get to segue into the value proposition a little bit for Digibyte. If you're just launching an ICO and you just want to sell shares in your company, you don't need a Turing complete virtual machine to be doing all of that computing for you. Like who gives a shit? You don't need it. You just want a token that people can trade trustlessly across borders.
Yeah, I agree.
And so for the most part, this is kind of where I get to say Digi Assets is going to be great on top of Digibyte because we've got a shitload more space already, and it's all on chain in terms of our block times are basically 15 seconds compared to Bitcoin's 10 minutes.
You guys went in on that sweet ICO money. Don't you wish ICOs were still a thing?
How many people?
Because I presented these same arguments for Bitcoin. I said, listen, let's get drive chains or side chains or something that will allow us to have all these ticker symbols on Bitcoin, so we can have this liquidity from the onboarding of noobs into Newville, and then Bitcoin can pump. Nothing ever happened. Nothing was ever done. Not a single step in that direction. That shit ain't never getting rolled in. I don't think
Well, that's where this came from. You're familiar with like Omni and Mastercoin and the Open Assets Protocol?
Yep.
Yeah, which is what eventually basically Ethereum became. We're basically taking that, putting it on our UTXO blockchain instead, and rolling it into mobile and actually making it work in 2019 and giving it some love and tenderness and ta-da!
I could list you numerous other options that do the same stuff. I'm not here to shill everyone else's project. You're nice, you're here. I don't mind some shilling, but everyone else that's not here, I won't shill their products for them. I can say that
you've got Ravencoin, for example, and they've baked their stuff directly into their core wallet, their core protocol. Yeah. That's an interesting way of tackling it.
The funny thing is, like, the problem that I have with those tokens is that I can get all of the utility without pumping the price of your token. So, for instance, when HEX users download Ethereum wallets, to actually do transactions costs like a penny. So, and if someone wants to lock some tokens up for 5 years, then that means they need to do 2 transactions in 5 years. One to lock them, one to unlock them. And that's it. So that's 2 cents of value that got added to their ecosystem for 5 years for a user, right?
Plus, there's the additional, you've removed some of the circulating supply, of course, which is potentially...
Well, our coin pumps because we've reduced supply, but Ethereum doesn't pump because they got 2 cents of transaction fees.
Yep.
The benefit to the Ethereum ecosystem from having HEX on it is the fact that we're getting them installing wallets where then they might try other stuff in the ecosystem.
Correct.
However, from a transaction fee perspective, they're getting nearly nothing. So the reason I mention that is because if you are a substrate that other tokens launch on, then there really isn't much value to it unless people are buying your token to onboard into the other token, and then some portion of those people ends up sticking and staying with that token.
Yeah.
So I think the Ethereum ecosystem will benefit most from HEX being on it by us putting 30 to 100,000 users on their wallets.
Using those wallets, yeah.
That's a big deal, right? That's a lot of fucking users, right? My mailing list has got like 15, 20K on it. We got 3.5K in the chat room. Real people, like not
and that's sizable.
Yeah, I'm impressed with it, and this is with not a single dollar spent on marketing, limited shilling, no demo, right? Like I've got demos because I'm building out of the repo and testing everything, but for the public, they haven't seen any demos yet. I'm very impressed with how many people are interested, and I think it's because maybe free money is a good sales pitch, or maybe replacing CDs that has never been done before. That's a good sales pitch. There's crypto replacements for cash. There's no crypto replacements for CDs, and CDs are multi-trillion-dollar market. There's like 3.5 trillion in the United States, 3.5 trillion in China, basically. I like that. So if you're going to suggest people to buy crypto, they have to have a 3-year time frame. They should invest in things where the token is scarce, which means like low inflation. So in HEX, we got 3.69%, which it took Bitcoin longer than 10 years to get close to that. It took it 10 years to get to 4.17. That's when it was at 20K.
Oh. They're just under that now, yeah?
Well, it's going to be less when the halving happens, and they might be under it now. It depends on how fast the hash rate is. So if the hash rates get slower, then the amount of coins that get found gets a little less, and then if the hash rate gets faster, the amount of coins that get found gets a little more. So it floats around a little bit because the difficulty algorithm lags by 2 weeks, which I know it doesn't in years.
Yeah, 2 weeks fucking sucks. That was what I tried. So, I mean, unfortunately, I'm not a coder. I'm not a programmer. But I took what little I knew about where the code was for DigiShield, which is our dynamic real-time difficulty adjustment. Put a commit request, pull request into the Litecoin project. And I was like, hey, guys, Charlie Lee's just come out and gone, hey, yay, look at us. We found 12 blocks in 17 minutes. I'm like, shit, that's 50% too fast. We can help with that. Why don't I do like half the work? I'll put the details together. I'll start the proposal. It's all in here. Merry Christmas. You just need someone to spend maybe like an hour or two to finish this off. And you're good to go. Like, we've solved a real, genuine problem. So I thought I was being helpful. Because they're always
like it's open source, right? That's kind of the game. You're supposed to help out. It's open
source, and we're based off of, the Bitcoin core code base, as are they. So, it's you don't get anything by trying to isolate yourself.
Maybe.
To a certain degree.
Maybe. You'd get different things.
Well, yeah.
So if I could rename Ethereum, if I could rename the gas that you buy to send HEX transactions something else and not bleed brand awareness to other projects, I would do it, right? I'm not trying to promote. So like once the 50-week claim phase for turning Bitcoin into HEX is complete, you're not going to see references to Bitcoin anywhere on HEX anything, right?
Yeah.
Because we care about that ecosystem. So when I'm on television talking about Bitcoin, I'm talking about Bitcoin. I'm talking about HEX, I'm talking about HEX. But there's no reason to bleed goodwill from one project to another project, which is this belief that I have is the opposite of what other founders, quote, founders believe. So like there's another project called Bitcoin Cash that does everything they can to confuse you into thinking that their fork, their altcoin that's worth 2.5% of a Bitcoin, used to be worth 50% of Bitcoin, now it's worth 2.5%. They want you to believe that's real Bitcoin. And they use every piece of confusing language to get you to believe that their vanity project is real Bitcoin. It is not, right? I have the opposite belief. I don't want Bitcoin mentioned anywhere on the site or in the literature or anything because we want you to buy HEX. We don't want you to buy Bitcoin, right? Yeah. We want the HEX price to go up. If I can get you to put $100 in HEX, it's going to move the price higher than if I can get you to put $100 in Bitcoin. If you put $100 in Bitcoin, it ain't going to fucking move. The market cap's too big. It doesn't matter, right? So I have the opposite belief as other altcoin founders that name their projects after Bitcoin and try and use the name as much as they can. I think it's stupid. I don't think it's fair or honest or smart. It's literally dumb and it doesn't work, right? If it worked, then fucking Bitcoin Cash would not be worth 2.5% of a Bitcoin. It'd be worth more, but it doesn't work. It's stupid. It's bad for Bitcoin and it's bad for them. This is why companies have very different names, right? Google.
It's taking market cap effectively from Bitcoin that arguably could and should. Like, if people wanted new all-time highs for Bitcoin, why are they busy buying all of this other stuff like Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash, for example? I mean, you
There's
could just buy
yield.
Bitcoin.
Well, they're hunting yield, right? So, because these things have lower market caps, they can pump harder. I mean, I talk about Digibyte dropping 99.44% from 2017 till now, but what I'm not telling you is that it went up by 150x from 2016 to 2017. Yeah. So did Bitcoin go up 150x? No, it didn't. When Bitcoin went from 200 to 20,000, that's 100x. So these altcoins can give you higher returns if you're lucky, but their charts are all very similar. Vertical line, years of death. Vertical line, years of death, and they're all the fucking same. All of them. Every altcoin chart is the same. So if you're in at the bottom and you get your vertical line, you're very happy. But everyone that bought that top, that gave you that vertical line, is very upset about the years of death. And a lot of coins just never come back. So,
well, I mean, we've seen a lot that have kind of stuck around, like a lot. So we don't have a barbecue coin anymore, obviously, but we have a lot of other things that just won't disappear, despite the fact they have.
But is that your target? Is that your investment thesis? Is this didn't disappear yet when everyone else is making mad gains? Like when Bitcoin goes up 4.5x in 5 months. Fuck didn't disappear yet. That's not like that's not good enough, right? Like you could buy the S&P 500 and get 20% a year. Yeah, I mean you could buy Berkshire Hathaway and get 20% a year. You could buy S&P 500 and get like 10 or 12 or something. And now that interest rates are 0 or lower, that's just going to drive the prices of everything else higher, right? If the money is free, then everything else that's not money goes up in money price. So
it's worth more than money.
Yeah, goods and services are the only thing that really matter. Everything else is just accounting. So if you can't eat it, drive it, look at it, it's just accounting for things that you may eventually be able to do so. So we covered Litecoin, covered HEX a little bit, covered Digibyte a little bit. Bitcoin, why is there 130,000 in the title? Because there was 120,000 last stream. I'm just going to raise it 10,000 every time. Why? For the same reason I could say I'm a billionaire.
Like a bunch of streams in 1 week. We'll get you to do like 10 streams in 1 week, and then it'll be like 200K. And we'll be like, yes!
I did 2 in the same day and just changed it, like because I don't like. Will it eventually reach these prices? Yes, it's likely. Did you ask me for a time frame? No. Okay. Am I a billionaire? Sure. In what units? Not dollars. So like, if people, it's like this. The amount of marketing fun that you can have, right? Because what am I supposed? I'm so sick of coming up with stuff to put in the title, right? I need keywords, so when people search for the stuff that the video is about, it shows up. So we slap keywords in there, and then what am I supposed to write? Like interview? That's redundant. They already know it's an interview. So like, what am I supposed to stick in there, right? I don't know. People like big numbers. Here's a big number. If you guys have better suggestions on how you'd like to improve the quality of the titles of my videos, hit me up. T.me/strape, like strawberry grape. Put the suggestion in there. Maybe I'll take it.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not unfathomable to think that Bitcoin will one day be $1 million. For all we know, it could be $100 million or even more, depending obviously on how well things go for the US
look,
dollar.
If the dollar goes to 0, it can be zillions.
Wow, exactly. Like, look, you could be a billionaire in Zimbabwe dollars for all we know. I mean, shit, you probably are. Hell, I might.
I should bring one of my Zimbabwe bills over here on screen. I've got some sitting here. I've never shown them on screen before. If I wasn't wearing Bermuda shirts, I probably would.
We can, but the question, I guess, is what people really want to know is how quickly is that going to happen? And John McAfee reckons, what was it, next year?
Look.
Or is it 2021?
I believe the most likely thing to happen is what has happened. If you look at the trajectory that we're on now, it's identical to 2017, except more bullish. Less dips. Similar appreciation rate, less dips. So why not just do what we already did before? Let's do it again. It seems very simple to me.
You've got the chart on linear or logarithmic. It's
doesn't
basically...
matter. It still repeats itself.
Exactly.
Yep. So the only difference between linear and log is that it's going to compress the top down. So when you use log, it just shoves the top down towards you and amplifies. Which is why
you're now going to see those bigger highs, despite the fact that the charts are.
Well, we're going vertical on log, and we're going really, really vertical on linear, and it's like, yeah. I mean, look, we were at 3K 6 months ago. We're 12K now. You tell me what else goes up 400% in 6 months, and this is after a 36% dip. We were at 14K after 4.5 months from 3K. That's 4.5x. What goes up 450% in 5 months? Fucking nothing. It's fabulous. Like that's amazing rate of return. Everyone that took my advice and went 1.48x long at 10K is up 60%.
Because that was only a couple weeks ago. You were talking about that. I think.
2 weeks. You're up 60% in 2 weeks. Like fuck off. What do you want? That's so good. Like it's amazing. 60% in 2 weeks, and the drawdown was nothing. We drew down $50. Our dip from my call was from 10K to 99.50. I'm the man. The trick is to not get chopped up trying to add.
A lot of flack about that sort of stuff in the past as well. I've seen you get a lot of flack about that kind of thing in the past.
Because people are stupid.
It's free advice.
If you make a bunch of price calls based on new data all the time, then your directionality is going to change all the time. Stupid people watch one video and expect that advice to be good for eternity. No. Facebook's coming out with a coin. Mt. Gox is releasing their coins. Like huge, massive things that really matter. Donald Trump tweeted that this is terrible. He's only got 60 million followers or more, some huge number, right? Mr. Muchin's on television. I call him Munchkin. I hate that motherfucker. Ugliest, dumbest. Well, he's probably a pretty smart guy, but just scumbag. That guy goes on television and talks about the national security issue that's Bitcoin. Those are big ass words from the executive branch that does law enforcement, right? Actually, is he in the executive branch? I think he is. Yeah, I think the Treasury's in the executive branch. That's strong ass language, right? So if you make a price call and then the head of Treasury comes out and calls what you're doing a national security issue and says he's probably going to pass some laws against it, and Trump says it's the worst, and Shitmex is getting investigated, and there's a lot of stuff. You might want to update your price model, right?
Yeah.
But they don't watch any of that. They just go, hey man, you were long and look, the price went down. Yeah, well, did you see where I got short? No, because you're stupid. I got a calls channel. You can chart the calls. Like, I don't delete them. He's so dumb.
And it's free advice as well. Like that's the thing. I think that's kind of one of the things that I still remember from the very early days. I think you were actually talking with Doug Polk at the time, and you were talking about people on Twitter and just how terrible a lot of that's the thing, is a lot of people have these huge opinions and things. And I remember very vividly, you basically just turned around and you said, look, you're here giving me shit about something because, in the same sort of vein, you didn't keep up with what was going on, and you're trying to give me shit about it. You bring no value to my life. Why should I carry on listening to you? Like, what benefit do I get from listening to your abuse? Like, what? It's free advice.
Well, it's historically good advice. I called the 20K Christmas back at like 3,800 or 4K. It came true.
Yeah.
I called the bear market at 90 or 8,500. It went down to 3. Like, what do you want? Like, I'm telling you what's going on. I said long 10K, $50 a drawdown, and now we're at 12K. Like, what do you want me to do? I give you free advice, free chat, free books, free coins, free tokens. You should give me some free shit, right? Give me something back. Like, you owe me. Like, I don't get it. I think it's because people hate, right? They see that I'm confident, strong, not, everyone else failed out. I'm still here kicking ass, and they just get jealous. They get mad. And the funny thing is, like, some portion of the population is going to get bad no matter what. So if you're weak, they're going to hate you for being weak. If they're strong, you're going to hate you for being strong. You good with ladies, bad with ladies, rich, poor, whatever, they're gonna find a reason to hate. So
yep.
I want a better class of enemy. I want to raise the level of suctitude that my enemies try and perform against me. I think once HEX is out, we'll reach critical butthurt in the crypto community. There will be very angry maximalists who are very upset.
Exactly.
It's gonna be awesome.
I mean, I don't specifically want to say that you were a Bitcoin maximalist for the longest time, but I remember you were not in the ICOs, and then you kind of changed your tune, going, shit, if I was in these ICOs, could have watched them pump, sell some money, make even more. Yeah. And now you've basically kind of swung the other way, and you're like, I'm just going to make my own token. I mean, this is obviously different from an ICO because you're not asking for money.
They're so different. So an ICO, for the most part, is the wrong people doing the wrong thing, and then never getting to market. And if they did get to market, there'd be no product market fit, and they would just fail and run out of money anyway. So that's all bad, right? 99% of them. I only think of one that worked out. Whereas if you launch a token that is trustless and audited, and it is able to transmit value, that's enough on its own. Works for Dogecoin, works for tons of other coins, right? And then if you add unique features like time locking and time deposits, which no other currency has, then like that's even better, right? And then if you have this incentive program where you make 20% to onboard new people, do you make 20% onboarding people to Bitcoin? No. But you'll make 20% onboarding people to HEX. If people send Ethereum to the HEX contract and get HEX back, you get 20% of the HEX. If they get referred by you, they get a 10% bonus. If they claim for free, the referrer gets 20%, and the person that clicked the link to give the referrer the 20%, he gets an extra 10%, right? Those mechanics in game theory do not exist to create virality in other cryptos. So we've got virality built into it. We've got, if you get in larger or earlier, you get more. We delay the massive payment of all the unclaimed coins until the very end so that enough people have the ability to get in. If we didn't pay them at the very end and we paid them in the beginning, then everybody that got in the first day would 500x, and then the people that got in like the last day would like 0.5x or 1.5x. It's just not, why not leave some meat on the table for all the later guys? Because they're the majority of the people. If you chart your progress as a new project, your user growth, it's going to be exponential. And so you need to leave meat on the bone for everyone that comes after, right? So that's the reason that we delayed the lump sum payment of all of the unclaimed coins to the very end. And then, so we fixed unit bias because we have about 500 billion, 700 billion, should be about 750 maybe, billion units, right? So you can price things and like, oh, you want to subscribe? Send us 10 HEX. It's not 0.0000521 something Bitcoin, right? So we fixed unit bias. We fixed inflation bugs because our consensus code is written in the smart contract and you can't change the smart contract. So it's very hard to accidentally fuck that up. But in Bitcoin, if you fix the networking, you can print all the free coins you want now, right? So, and that's happened to Zcash. That's happened to Monero. It's happened to all the Byte coins. It's happened to Bitcoin. It's never happened to Ethereum. And it's even less likely to happen to HEX because our consensus code is isolated and modular, and everything else that you do to improve the network doesn't touch it, or shouldn't. I mean, it's obviously there. It's very hard to accidentally touch. It's
and
hashed
again, this is why
and
you're
can't be
auditing it
changed.
beforehand.
Say again?
Again, this is why you are auditing it beforehand.
Yeah, I'm actually trying to get more than one audit. Most people just get one. I care a lot about the security. I would like to get more than one. They're just so fucking expensive. Like, it's not fun. You can spend in between 40, 60, 20, depending on the quality of who you're working with. And then it depends on who you actually get there that does the audit. So you get a company that's got a good reputation, but maybe you just got their new intern to do your audit. That's not great, right? And so it's hard. Software's hard, and secure software is hard. So I'd like to get more than one audit. If we just get one, everyone I'm working with, professional and has done more than 20 or 30 audits. So these people are at the top tier that is possible. Like these are, top five guys.
There's not many of them out there though, unfortunately.
No,
like
there's
that's
not.
The blockchain developers are like unicorns in and of themselves, let alone like the specialized ones that can understand the intricacies of these smart contracts and audit it. Like,
well, that's funny. Like Bitcoin has never had an audit. Never.
Yeah.
HEX will have an audit. That's awesome, right? It's better. What else? We don't pay miners to dump coins. We don't pay miners to pollute the environment to dump coins on your head. That's what miners in Bitcoin do. You pay them to mine. So let's take Bitmain. Bitmain basically went all in on Bitcoin Cash and tried to kill real Bitcoin with money that they got from selling Bitcoin miners.
Yeah.
So when you gave them money, when you gave that foreign megacorp money, they used that money to fuck up the project that you care about. That's what happened. And while they were doing that, they were selling coins on the market, pushing the price down to pay for electricity.
Yep. We
don't do that in HEX. In HEX, people are already doing the mining stuff for Ethereum already. We're piggybacking on top of it. There's no 51% of tax. It's the second largest amount of hash rate that's not Bitcoin. We actually do need the Turing complexity. We push the Ethereum network stack to the limit of what it can possibly do. We are at the limit of what Ethereum is capable of doing with our project. Which is because there's so much stuff going on inside, right? With the bonuses.
Yeah.
And, Ethereum's not actually that powerful. It's like your cell phone is a million times more powerful than the Ethereum network. The Ethereum network is trustless. Your cell phone is not, right? So
yeah, and it's all on there compared to having to distribute it across hundreds of thousands of computers. So,
well, Ethereum has a more diverse mining ecosystem because they hate ASICs. They're forking the code. They're forking out ASIC mining and switching to a different proof of work.
POW?
I know that it gets rid of ASICs. That's all I need to know.
Because that's one of the things that we've been looking at is Prog POW and also RandomX from Monero. RandomX kind of looks also very cool.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with the second one. I only know Prog POW. I don't know the RandomX one. They're just, they just make a memory hard, basically. So you'll see things that use like the Cuckoo algorithm that makes things memory hard.
Well, that was what Zcash's Equihash was supposed to be with, what do they call it, birthday tables or something?
Yeah, it's based on the generalized birthday problem.
But
so
even that's got shitloads of ASICs now.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a constant battle, right? Because basically what you're betting on is the inability for human beings to affordably solve some problem, right?
Yeah.
And then it's just basically because memory is more expensive than processing. So it's if memory gets a lot cheaper and bandwidth for RAM gets a lot cheaper, or HBM, and because I think Equihash is memory latency hard, it's not actually memory bandwidth hard, so it's pretty unique in that way. I'm unaware of any other algorithm that's memory latency hard.
I think they are the only one, because that's why obviously like your GTX 10s 80s were different compared to like the 1070s and things. And,
yep, because GDDR5 versus
GDDR5X.
Yeah. So good.
That's kind of what we tackled with AutoCrypt, because the idea is, so an ASIC is basically just really good at doing one type of math and one type of math only. So that was why we went down the FPGA route with ours, and we basically said, right, the closest that you can get to being an ASIC without being an ASIC is going to be an FPGA. You need to be able to reprogram your ASIC because of the way that the algorithm is written. So therefore, why would you bother making a reprogrammable ASIC, which is just an FPGA, when you can just use off-the-shelf hardware already? That's the logic behind AutoCrypt, our new algorithm. So
it's all of these things have trade-offs. So if you create ASIC resistance and require just CPUs, then you're beholden to botnets.
Yep.
If you create ASIC resistance that are memory hard or memory latency hard, then maybe you're into GPUs, and then you're beholden to gamers. You're basically trading off who it is that has control over your network. I prefer gamers the most. I think they're the least evil. I think that they are the most diverse. I think they're the most spread out. I think you can onboard them as new users. I think they're technically adept. They're young. They're moving their way up the sociological food chain as they age. I like that much more than foreign megacorp that tries to kill the coin that you paid them to mine. I hate that greatly. And they don't even speak to you. They don't debate with you on Twitter. They're just mostly garbage. Sorry, guys. If you guys weren't garbage, you'd be chatting me up on Twitter. But since you're not chatting me up on Twitter with the 53,000 other people that are, fuck you guys. Like, you ain't done nothing honorable that I've seen. I was a miner, right? I was happy. I never tried to kill the hand that fed me, right? I never tried to, like, trick people into a fake thing.
In fact, you've seen quite the opposite with them, with their whole Bitcoin Cash and forking that off, and like you said, trying to manipulate the price and things. You have evidence that says otherwise, that they're not nice people, compared to hope and goodwill that maybe they are.
Yeah, I mean, it's so weird. You get these archetypes in crypto. So we originally in Bitcoin had the gold bugs and libertarians, which I kind of was. And I mean, I still want to be a gold bug, but I know it just sucks. I feel the drive to hoard it, but I know it just sucks, so I have to not do it. And, it's the same with libertarian stuff. It's like, yeah, this stuff would be great in an ideal world, but we ain't in an ideal world, right? So if your libertarian fair culture goes up against communist China, China wins. Why? Because they're not fair. And not fair works pretty well, right? It's just like credit in the United States. The credit system is horrible for the individual, but excellent for the entire system because everyone has to work overtime, because everyone is in debt, because no one can pay their bills. So everyone is more productive because they're being driven, pounded to death by debt. So the debt that's horrible for the individual is positive for the society, as weird as that is, right? Unless you care about the mental health of the society, and then it's not good. But if you care about GDP,
you snowball off of that as well.
If you care about GDP, it's good for GDP. And then, you know, the countries that have more reasonable lifestyles where they actually have health and vacations and shit, their quality of lives are vastly superior, but their GDPs are harmed. And then over time, the unfair nation will outcompete the fair nation, right? So like the real world is pretty wacky. Like if you go into the ocean, the bigger things eat the smaller things the whole way through. Everything's eating everything. And you just go up like, oh, you're slightly bigger. Cool. You're going to eat that thing. Right. And then like, how bad should you feel about eating a fish? It's like, I don't know, man, this fish, like, there's a whole lot of fish on fish violence going on down there. So maybe I don't feel that bad about eating this thing here. In theory, if you wanted to reduce the harm to conscious creatures, you should eat larger creatures because you get more calories per consciousness. It's an interesting way to think about things.
It's fine to be a meat eater, people, because we're harming bigger things, and so
it's better to eat steak than chickens. Think about how many chicken wings. Think about how many chickens die for a basket of chicken wings.
Yeah,
you only get 2 wings per chicken. Yeah. So if you're eating 40 wings, that's 20 chickens. That's a lot of goddamn chickens.
Especially given how many, you know, like you or me could put away in a single meal. I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't have chicken wings 5 times a week, but
I don't have them ever, but I'm still fat as fuck magically. So it's like, I don't particularly like having to fight to get the meat off of the bone. It's like a lot of work, right? So like lobster, chicken wings, it's a lot of damn effort. Now, I know some people are advanced. They can throw the whole thing in there and then just spit a bone out, right? Those guys are like next tier. I'm not that good.
I mean, that's a very cool party trick.
Where I grew up, a lot of people could do that.
Really?
Yeah. It's.
No,
I grew up in South Florida, and it's a very interesting culture.
I'm definitely more of a like I'm most happy with a nice piece of steak, and we've recently actually got into sous videing things. That's fucking cool.
You still got to crisp the outside when you're done, though.
Yeah.
You got to flame the outside.
That's not too hard though, but it tastes a lot better.
Yeah, true. I mean, I've had it both ways. I'm kind of partial to just not sous videing currently, but
it's convenient to just and you're done.
Yeah, you get more smoke. You got to get rid of all the damn smoke. So what else should we talk about? We talked about mining, Litecoin, Digibyte, HEX.
Well, I got a question for you because so you're great with game theory. Everyone knows that. What? And you're also Mr. Free Advice, so I'm gonna pick your brains and say,
smart.
If you were to look at a project like Digibyte and offer some advice on the game theory, on onboarding users, maybe what sort of advice would you recommend for a project like that?
You guys don't have a lot of options because you're already locked in. So if you want to do cool incentives, then you have to be able to pay for them. And the only way that you can reasonably pay for cool incentives in crypto is to mint the coins. If you cannot mint the coins, then you can't afford to do anything interesting. So people say to me, why don't you just do time deposits on Bitcoin? Because you can't. Well, Bitcoin has time locking. Yes, they do. Okay, well, what do you get as a reward for locking your coins? You get a penalty as a reward. You can't spend your coins. That's it. Yep. That's all you get. You can fuck yourself and make it so you can't spend your coins, but you don't get anything in return, right? So Bitcoin can't do a replacement for CDs because their game theory is set in stone that the only people that get inflation are the miners. And the miners get every single new coin that is created. And that cannot be fixed. It cannot be changed. You have to do an entirely new currency. Any proof of work currency is going to have the exact same problem with inflexibility in exciting stuff they can do because they don't have the free money of just minting it, right? So you can't get an affiliate program to onboard someone to Bitcoin, because who's going to pay out of their pocket to pay those people? You can't do it, right? So that's the reason you don't see Bitcoin ads. That's the reason you don't see a Bitcoin affiliate program. That's the reason it's pretty stagnant, right? It's really hard to onboard new users. Hey, I got a great idea. Buy Bitcoin. Go to your ATM, pay 10% to get in, and then spend it anywhere you want. No chargeback protection. If the seller fucks you, you stay fucked. You also can't do subscriptions because it's push only. You have to keep sending the money every month, right? So they have to overcharge you, because they could have undercharged you and just all the people that didn't subscribe, that didn't cancel, they subsidized your price down. But now that everyone actually has to push the payment, they don't have any of that leftover people that forgot to cancel. So now you got to pay more. So no chargeback protection, 10% fee to get in. It takes 6 hours, 2 hours, 3 hours for your transaction to go through. If it goes through, it might just not go through. And then you could be Googling like stuck transaction, replaced by fee. Hey, how can I get my transaction to actually go through? All that stuff, right?
I had that stuck in the mempool 24 hours later going, where the fuck's my money?
Yep. Exactly. Or you go to spend another coin. Like you sent $1 and now you want to send 100 grand. But your 100 grand is held up because you're still waiting on the dollar to confirm. And then you're like, oh, well, I guess I'll just wait. Was that a replaced by fee transaction? Can I do parent pays for a child pays for parent? Like, this is a lot of bullshit that no one that just wants to send some money would ever possibly ever want to deal with, ever. Garbage, right? Which is why if you sign up for like a crypto conference, you're going to pay with your credit card. Half the time, they don't even accept crypto at a crypto conference, okay? If you sign up for a newsletter, half the time, you're going to pay with a credit card. You want to sign up for a dude that's on stage talking about Bitcoin all the time? You're going to go to his Patreon? He don't accept crypto. He accepts Patreon dollars, okay? That's how hard he believes in fucking crypto, right? So, like, it's just...
But this is why retail is a tough market.
It's not a tough market for people that have better technology. It's not a tough market for PayPal. It's not a tough market for Visa. It's not a tough market for MasterCard. It's not a tough... it's a tough market for us because our technology actually sucks, and we only have one thing we do well, which is get rich, which is enough for me, okay? Yep. And censorship resistance, which very few people need. WikiLeaks needs it. Darknet needs it. Nobody else really needs that shit, right? Yep. So be happy getting rich. Be happy the price goes up. Don't be one of these people that dreams that this shit is green and awesome and rosy. It ain't. It's slow and it's unreliable and it's expensive and it's not improving very quickly. We're still all going to get rich, and that's fabulous, great. But don't pretend that a great job is being done. It's not, right? Now Blockstream has their own mining company now.
Oh, yeah.
And they've been defending Tether. So Blockstream's been defending Tether and has their own mining company now. Now tell me how any of that's good. Where's the good?
Yep.
Where's the good? I don't get it. Like, fucking... Dude,
but people are out there going, wow, this is awesome. They're going to do hosted mining, so you can put your ASIC miner in there and... Yes!
Dude, the whole idea of decentralization is to be not centralized. If you mine everywhere, when you suck someone else's balls and beg them to point the mining hash rate that you bought at something, you're just begging, okay? It's not your electricity. It's not your machine. It's not your network. You don't run the node that decides what rules are being enforced. You are a bitch. And if you are a bitch, then you will die the fate of all the many bitches that preceded you and got the shit scammed out of them by cloud mining or the bad ROI that comes from mining in the first place. Anyone that has ever bought a piece of mining hardware has been outperformed by buying coins forever. Yep. But stupid people that can't do math keep doing it. I even fell for that shit. I would have so many more coins if I didn't buy fucking mining hardware. But
same. I sold my house and bought a shitload of mining equipment, and it was...
Imagine if you bought coins, dude. Imagine if you bought coins instead.
No, don't say that, because I get like sleepless nights as it is, because in 2017 I got married, and I had to sell while I was on my honeymoon at like start of November, and then like a week later, bull run kicks in, and I'm like, fuck, I just sold...
I wish I had coins now instead of, the shitty hardware.
Yeah.
When you buy coins, you get coins now. When you buy hardware, you maybe get coins later. Maybe. But you could have had coins now.
The interesting thing as well about like, so you're talking about being basically at the beck and will of the mining pool or whoever is effectively controlling your hardware. Wasn't it? I think it was like BTC.top or something, Roger Vere's mining pool, that ended up taking a bunch of hash power that was supposed to be being aimed at BTC
Yeah, they
when they were doing
attacked the
the
BSV fork.
BSV war.
Yeah. Yep.
Was that him?
Yeah. Yeah, he did that.
And that's,
but
like,
I mean,
that's
here's
just
the funny thing, right? As much as I dislike that project, I dislike BSV more. So, like, as bad as BCH was to real Bitcoin, BSV was even worse to them. So, it's fucking, like, at least Roger has, at least if Roger is a better human being than anyone on that other team. He does care about human freedom. He does prefer that people have freedom for governments. I believe much in what Roger believes in. I think many of the methods that he has taken, I have advised him against. He has not accepted my advice, and so he has been destroyed. I told him how dumb Bcash was and how bad fake Satoshi was when the fork had not yet occurred. Then the fork happened, and he went all in, and now the price went from, it launched at about 15% of a Bitcoin, went down to 10, over time went up to 50, and now it's at 2.5% of a Bitcoin.
Yep.
He fucked up. He blew out his savings account. He blew hundreds of millions of dollars on a bad decision to try and take control of something which is best not taken control of. Crypto is only useful for censorship resistance and getting rich. They're actually different because you can get rich without the censorship resistance, truthfully, right? XRP ain't censorship resistant. EOS ain't censorship resistant, but you could get rich, right? So all these weird coins that ain't actually censorship resistant, you can get rich on, right? So, but in an ideal world where people valued the technology for the technology's sake and not its pumpamentals, I've got the .com. It's a HEX affiliate link if you click it. If you go to pumpamentals.com, you're going to go to HEX, but there's an affiliate link there. I love my shilling. If you...
Well, fuck it, why not? Because you even tweeted about that and said, if you're clever, you'll refer yourself to HEX. Why wouldn't you?
True. It's, you can self-refer if you want. Or you can reward the person that introduced you. Those are all options that are open to you. If Roger would have not done that crap, he would have hundreds of millions more, and he wouldn't lose followers every day, and the world would probably be a better place, right?
Yeah.
He was responsible in some part for fake Satoshi being able to find new people to scam. When he takes pictures with them drinking wine together and having dinner together and say what an interesting, smart guy he is, and, being on stage at events that he's sponsored or had a lot to do with, he's responsible for that shit. So I was doing the good work of helping save people from getting screwed. He wasn't, right? So maybe he jumps on the good team again one day. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. His latest theory that I just heard was, he really said this shit. This is him really saying things, which I don't understand. He said he thinks the reason Jack Dorsey, who's the founder of Twitter, likes the Lightning Network and Bitcoin so much is because he's dating the girl that works at Lightning Labs, whose name I can't remember right now. Swear to God. And he literally right after that says he has absolutely no evidence for it, but it would make a lot of sense. You're like, bro, did you just literally say you don't have any evidence, like, right there? Like, you don't think Jack Dorsey has other options available to him, like, than crypto developers? Like, what in the fuck kind of silly ass statement is this? Like, I don't know, man. Maybe if your vanity project gets wrecked hard enough, you start to lose grasp of reality or something. I don't know. That's just the dumbest thing I've heard. I mean, I troll posts sometimes talking about, like, the Clintons suiciding that dude. Somebody probably suicided that dude. It's probably someone that's actually still in power. Probably not the Clintons who are out of power. But his black book was thick enough. Somebody else probably was up on that jazz, right? But it's just funner to tweet the Clinton memes because the Clinton murder list is like so long that it's just like fun to tweet it or whatever. But I'm just shit posting and I declare it as such in the post, right? I'm like, I don't know if there's any true, but it sure is fun to talk about. Roger's really out there talking about big decisions made by billion-dollar companies based on a relationship with, I mean, look, Lightning Girl looks okay, but if you're Jack Dorsey, man, you come on, man. Come on now. Come on.
Your Twitter, yeah, no.
I do better. I don't, I'm not even physically fit.
We've
So guys,
actually, I'm not sure if you can hear that coming through. There's like a fucking cyclone coming here. So I wonder if maybe we should wrap this up before everything turns to total custard. Because can you hear
I like
the
custard, bro.
going through the background?
No, I don't hear nothing, mate.
Oh, that's right then.
I don't hear nothing. We can go through your power turns out. Let's hit up. So if you don't have any other like ideas, let's go through the sucky, horrible, terrible YouTube chat. Let's go through this garbage, the cesspool. All right, guys, I'm actually going to go to the cesspool. Let's see here. Can you claim if BTC is stored in a cold wallet like Trezor or Ledger? Yes. Cool thing about HEX. So, all right, let's do this live, right? You're the first guy I've ever spoken to that represented altcoin on my channel ever. You're
Serious?
The first guy. Yeah.
No.
Yep. I don't think I've ever spoken to anyone that represented altcoin before, ever, on this channel, ever. Nobody. Roger Ver would be the closest when we talked about Bitcoin Cash before it existed.
You might be right.
Yeah. So you're the first guy. Because I would have posted their charts too, right? Like I'm like, oh, we're going to talk to the DGB guy. Before you think I'm shilling for DGB, okay? Let me post these 99% loss charts here. Now we're clear on what's up, okay?
Yeah.
Because I didn't even know you were a DGB guy, truthfully. Like I just knew we had, you'd messaged me and you're like, some people chatted me. And I'm like, all right, cool, let's do an interview. I didn't actually click your channel and see like the DGB icon. I'm like, oh, whatever, fuck it. I'll do it anyway. Like, because from my perspective, it's so much better that I befriend other projects than it is that I like just shit talk everybody. Because the people that believed in your project are very likely to believe in my project too, right? So it's just good. It's good onboarding for new users is my opinion on it. And I don't think I've said a single bad thing about your guys' stuff. I mean, it's proof of work. It's multiple algorithms. I don't see the problem with it. Seems totally fair and fine to me.
I'm disappointed about, to be honest. Like, if I'm your first altcoin on here and you haven't said one damn bad thing about it,
you're down 99.44%, dog. I mean, what am I gonna do? Fucking kick you when you're down? Like, if you put in $100, you got like $5.60 left. Like, fucking, it's like. But no one bought the top. Like, few people bought that high. And if you bought it in 2016, you are about even from where you got in, and you're even up in Bitcoin in dollars. You're even up in dollars. You're even with Bitcoin if you bought before the sick pop of 2017. So don't think that everyone bought the top, because they didn't. Not everyone bought the top. So someone asked, so they asked if Ledger and Trezor are supported to claim HEX for free. Basically, if you have Bitcoin, you get 10,000 HEX base. If you get in early, you get 20%. You get referred, you get 10%. You refer somebody, you get 20%. You stake your coins, you get some huge ass number, because a lot of people aren't going to claim, and all those coins are going to get paid to you, right? If you don't want to deal with any of that free claim stuff, you can send Ethereum direct in there. If you're the only person that puts Ethereum in, you're going to get 1 billion tokens on the first day. I think other people will put Ethereum in, and then you'll have to spread those billion across yourselves. And then every day after the first day, it's a copy of whatever coins are not claimed. So free claims, bonuses, unclaimed coins paid to the stakers, and then a copy of the unclaimed coins issued to the adoption amplifier for people to transform Ethereum into HEX on a daily basis if they want. If they don't want, don't do it. Imagine if you could onboard users into DGB without having to beg exchanges to list you. That's what the adoption amplifier in HEX allows us to do. If you want to get into HEX, you can get in direct with no order book, no people losing your money, no delays, no fees, totally trustless. You send your Ethereum to the contract that mints the currency. No middlemen. It's code. You're running it. You're paying to have it run. You're transacting directly with the contract. There's nobody that can get in the way. So it's a lot easier to put users on, and it amplifies the number of referrers that you can get. So if we had the referral system only helping people that had claims, that would, less than 1% of the world has Bitcoin at the snapshot date. So after the snapshot date happens, you can't have them go back in time. Oh, that's a great project. Oh, we'll just go back in time and have had Bitcoin back then, and now you can get onboarded. That shit doesn't work. But if you can onboard people that have access to ETH, then you can onboard anybody, right? Because anybody has access to ETH. And then after these 50 weeks of launch phase are open, almost all of the game theory disappears. Almost all of it. You're not going to have referrals anymore. I might be able to do something with another contract that talks to this contract because it can be externally referenced, but I don't feel like going into that right now. So you're not going to get paid on refer. You're not going to get paid earlier claim thing. You're not going to be able to claim anymore. There's no whales that can dump on your head. None of that stuff, right? All of their coins get sent to the people that did claim earlier. So what's left? What's left is a very low interest rate, a very low inflation rate, 3.69%, that just gets paid to stakers. You stake longer, you get more. You stake larger, you get more. That's it, right? And so we have a bunch of inflation that goes to reward early adopters, and then all of that dies on the 50th week, and then it's all price appreciation, right? So this currency is different and interesting in that it has metrics that no other currency has. So if you were to look at Digibyte and you were to say, what do I care about? Okay, you care about the hash rate, which is hard to calculate because you guys use more than one, but it's still knowable. We care about the price. We care about the inflation rate, how many new coins are coming out per year, which you can go on-chain FX and look up for most currencies. That's what we care about. Now, in HEX, do we care about the hash rate? Not really. Do we care? Yeah, it's taken care of, right? Like, doesn't matter much. Here's what we care about. How much does it cost to get a share in the staker pool? Because our share price only goes up. Anyone that ever ends a stake has a reward ratio. This is how much they put in, this is how much they got out. The highest ever seen ratio is set at the price. So then if that person tries to get back in, he always ends up with less shares. He would have always been better served by not ending his stake or by not having a shorter stake, right? So the pricing mechanism makes it so that to get a share in the staker group is always more expensive. Okay, so we care about share price. We also care about the HEX price. We also care about the graph of when stakes are coming out of lockup. So because they could sell on the market, right? So I'm talking about what we care about for price. Yep. No other currency has that chart of what the future supply is actually going to look like because they know when coins are coming out of lockup. Nobody has that. Nobody that I'm aware of has a share price to stake.
Well,
so
Ripple knows about it because they've got all their shit in lockup.
Ripple? Do you say Ripple?
Exactly.
I don't think you get rewarded as a normal user for locking your coins.
No, you don't.
You're talking about their corporate. I think so. Ripple's corporate has contractual lockups,
Exactly.
which may exist or may not. They're rumored to. I haven't physically seen them, so maybe they don't really exist, right?
Like anything has to HEX.
So
But it's not done by the people.
Well, there's all types of coins you can lock up. Like you can lock up a masternode coin, but it's not really locked. You can sell it whenever you want, right?
Yeah.
So you're not going to get price appreciation unless the locks are real. It's just like a CD at the bank, right? You get paid extra interest because it's a jumbo CD. It's over 100K. Now you get more, or you lock up longer. So we're basically copying what already works in the real world for multiple trillions of dollars. So we got a chart no one else has. We got a chart of lockups coming out over time. Nobody else has that. We got a share price chart to become a staker. And then there's another thing. So just because it costs more or less to get a share, how many other people have shares that are competing with you? So you care about how many people in total are actually locking their coins compared to the total. No other currency has these things. Like those metrics don't exist in other currencies. I'm very excited to see how traders attempt to interact with them, right? Because I'm a trader, and I would love to actually, figure out, there's some coins coming off stake. Maybe the price comes down. I don't know, but so many people are like, it's just going to be really interesting because it's just never been seen before.
Like an overlay on like all your charting tools, like TradingView, whatever, which would include something like that. The amount of stuff that's coming out.
Well, that's what we're doing now. So what we're doing now is when we're building the front end, we've got all the easy functions done. And it turns out that these data visualizations I'm talking to you about are actually harder to do than normal transactions, right? So if you want to make a stake, that's a lot easier to do than for me to show you historically over time the state of the system by these metrics. Because you basically have to take a stream of the state of the system and then convert it into a database and then operate against that database. So you have to make your own middleware. There's no way around doing that. There's nobody that offers it it doesn't exist as a service. It doesn't exist as something that you can run. You literally have to turn a node into a database and maintain that and run it all the time. It's hard. So we're doing those visualizations last pretty much, because the currency can function without that cool stuff. Having the cool stuff is better, right? So we're working on it. It's just not, you wouldn't put that ahead of being able to make a stake or close a stake or, refer people.
Well, and especially because it's not just this. I mean, we've had sort of similar things where you can interrogate your blockchain through the likes of Blockbook or Inside APIs and things like that. But
an API is just
nothing for Ethereum-based smart contracts that are doing these time locks and things. It's
the only thing you can do in Ethereum is if you wanted to pull out of your node, like if you had a Geth node and you wanted to pull your hash rate, the transactions per second, the number of nodes that were online, those type of metrics, there is a plugin that's written that will allow you to access that stuff. Yeah. If you want to actually look at what's going on in the network, in the transactions, right, like ERC20 transaction stuff, there's like nothing. You're just screwed pretty much. You can tell, like, you might be able to tell that a token was sent or received, but if you want to learn anything else beyond that, you just can't do it. So we have to build it. We don't have to build it, but I
doing
prefer
certain
to.
Functions within that as well. So it's not just send and receive, but in addition to that, it's
the problem to write such a thing is that you don't know what these functions do. Some numbers get bigger, some numbers get smaller. You don't know what any of those numbers are. So like every contract has an ABI that tells you like the different ways that you can interact with it, but it doesn't verbosely explain like what each of those things is, right? So there's not actually a way to, I don't think there's actually a way to easily fix that data visualization problem, or someone probably would already offer it as a service that you could pay a monthly fee for. The closest thing you have is Infura that runs nodes for you, and you just access the nodes through an API. That's the closest thing that you have. But they don't have anything, they don't have an extra tier beyond that, which says, hey, here's all the transaction stuff as a database. Now, Google has it. Google actually does have Ethereum totally converted into their BigQuery database, but only updates once a day. So screw that. Like, what?
Yeah.
That's too slow, right?
That's not helpful for charting.
Yeah, not for trading, really. I mean, it's better than nothing, I guess. But since we have real time available, we'll just do real time. Oh, so I never actually. This guy asked if you can use Trezor Ledger to claim. Do you guys support Trezor Ledger? Does Digibyte support Trezor Ledger? Yeah. Okay, nice. So does HEX. Yeah. So I tell people, look, if you want to use Trezor and Ledger, their signing apps suck. So use Electrum. Your keys are still going to live in your Trezor and your Ledger. You're just going to set up Electrum to talk to them, and Electrum is a good open source wallet. And then you can use your Trezor and your Ledger with MetaMask, which is your HEX wallet, which is in your browser, or they have a mobile thing out now in beta. Or you can use your Trezor and Ledger directly with Electrum, which is your Bitcoin wallet. So you could sign your Bitcoin statement to claim your free HEX using Electrum. And then you've got Trezor and Ledger support for MetaMask for actually using your HEX to make a stake or send them somewhere else, send them to a friend, any of those things. It's nice to have that hardware support off the bat.
Yeah. Why are there so many people asking in here about Ivan?
Ivan on Tech, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. I'm known for like savaging this altcoin called IOTA. I just savaged it so hard.
I've seen some of those videos, and they were on the mark, basically.
Yeah. Yep. Yes.
But what does that have to do with Ivan?
I have no idea. I don't know. Well, give me some context, bro. Like, read the sentence.
I don't fucking.
I'll control F it.
Yeah. When will you have time for a new interview with Ivan? And there was another couple of mentions about something Ivan. I don't remember.
Maybe because he's got a lot of other like people that watch him on YouTube, and then we're on YouTube, so maybe there's just audience crossover, perhaps. Or maybe, yeah, I don't know why. Let's scroll down to the end and see if you guys. Now, look, if you want to like dip out, you don't have to stay if you got to pee or whatever. Like, but I'm down to talk forever, mate. I'll talk to you.
I don't think we're gonna make like another 8-hour stream, but
it's a little bit hot in here. But other than that, like, somebody's shelling. Ready? Watch this. Click. Oh, hold on. Don't want to click the right guy. Click. Hide user on this channel. Now no one will ever see him speak again. All gone. All right, this guy says, HEX has some level of centralization. Like if someone do bullshit can be banned of HEX system by you, Richard. No. There's no secret codes. There's no non-public functions. You can see every function. You can't... I cannot stop someone from interacting with the Ethereum blockchain. I can't do it. So, no. You could say, is it centralized? Everything starts centralized, right? Whether you want it to or not, because there's knowledge asymmetry. So some people know about it when it launches, and then lots of people know later. But in between later and now, the people that were in the beginning were a small group, and therefore everything starts centralized. But that's not really what matters. What matters is it censorship resistant, right? I think. That, by the way, decentralization isn't actually a cure if every one of the decentralized parties makes the same bad decision emergently, right? So if everyone that's isolated and has never met each other decides to censor WikiLeaks transactions anyway, then it didn't matter, did it, right? That's what a hard fork is. Like a hard fork is getting consensus as to a new set of rules that you all want to play by. And then once you have a majority consensus, that's it. Like everything changes. So you can still get consensus for positive behaviors out of a distributed censorship resistant network. You can also get negative behaviors through that same method. Haven't seen any negative behaviors. I don't think. But in theory, you could get them. You see any good...
Ernest team asking here. Ask about Digi Assets, Richard Hart.
I don't know. Ask. What are Digi... Somebody, what's my opinion on digital assets?
Digi Assets. That's our
that's like your ticker symbol thing, right? Where people can get tickers and...
So you'll be able to basically like issue assets, everything from plane tickets to concert tickets through to shares in a business and
right. So it's
ICOs.
It's the same as Counterparty or Mastercoin or Omni or Raven or
exactly. We're based on top of that.
Or okay, so it's like well, I'll give you my opinion on it. If you're doing a scam, it's great because it gives you a way to scam. If you're doing something honest, it's less great because you already have ways to transmit people's value, like real shares in companies, and then people have legal standing and they can sue you, right? You have to have an address and you have to have meetings and you have to be accountable. So what's the upside for removing accountability from a cooperative endeavor? You could be wanting to do something shady that's illegal and then hope that protects you somehow, maybe. Okay. What else? Yeah, I'm not really psyched about the whole digital assets thing. So I'll give you an example. In the United States, you have securities laws. And the securities laws mandate that for shares to be transferred from one person to another, depending on, like, if you are a public company, then the only way to transfer your shares from one person to another is through a registered transfer agent. And there's only so many of them that are licensed and legal and such, right? Which is the reason that you see so many exchanges delisting coins that they think might be securities because they're not registered broker dealers and they don't have a license to perform those types of transactions for securities. So they don't want to go to jail, so they delist things that they think are securities. If you digitize things, so Delaware made a law that said that you could account for shares on the blockchain. But, and that's progress, that's nice, but you still have to use a transfer agent to keep a copy of the log, and that's the one that's authoritative, his copy of the log. So if the blockchain gets out of sync with what the registered transfer agent thinks is the state of the shares, who owns them and such, then you got to edit the blockchain, which means it's just duct tape on there and have no use, utility, or meaning whatsoever, right?
Yeah.
So much of the digital asset space does not derive utility from being censorship resistant. No one is trying to censor your share transactions. No one is trying to censor your inventory. No one is trying to censor your communicating with other people. That shit is very rare. So the only things that truly derive benefit from being on a blockchain are those that require censorship resistance. Payments does, because China bans lots of payments. The United States bans lots of payments. People want to do things and buy things without being censored and having eyeballs monitoring them. So we need that for currency, right? We don't need that for most other things. So my opinion is that most securities and shares on blockchains will just be used to power scams, as they were with ICOs, and that a lot of people will just lose a lot of money. There will be some very rare exceptions, and that's great, but there will be exceptions.
So what if instead of doing shares, one of the ones that I like to talk about a lot is if we're doing things like, say for example, concert tickets. Nobody fucking likes ticket scalpers because they're the bane of everyone's existence, and you have to pay an overinflated price. Whereas if everything was on the blockchain and you can publicly verify this and verify this ticket hasn't been transferred to somebody else, as the vendor, you can basically reject it. You can do your identity verification in advance, so people aren't standing there at the line at Disneyland going, yeah, I think you look like the person on your ID. You've got a beard now.
I don't see how making a slow, unreliable... A blockchain is just a slow, unreliable database with censorship resistance. If you want authenticity, normal databases support logging. Normal databases support multiple parties having to sign off on something. Normal databases support replication and duplication and geographic redundancy, which is the reason most of the world works already, right? Like we use mostly digital currencies already. Every fiat currency in the world, for the most part, is mostly digital. And they work, right? And the world works fine with them. So it's because they're not being censored for the most part, right? Like, so you could replace, and there are projects that do replace ticketing with other entities. So people misunderstand what's going on with ticketing. So it's a weird... The people that are fucking you over when you buy tickets are not the scalpers. The people that fuck you over when you buy the tickets are the people selling you the tickets. They allowed the scalpers to buy the tickets on purpose so that they could get a higher price. There's lawsuits regarding this shit. There's antitrust actions regarding these things. The people that you demonize, that charge you all the bullshit fees for processing and all these other bullshit fees, Ticketmaster, they are enabled to do that and made to look as the bad guy so that they can pass on the majority of that profit to the assholes that are actually at the venue, or usually at the venue, I believe. So the evil people are actually the venue. Now, is Ticketmaster evil as well? Yes. Why? Because then they get locked in, the venue does, and they can't ever use anyone else. They have to use Ticketmaster, right? And then they get critical mass, and now everyone has to use them. So they're both assholes pretty much. The scalper is the least asshole of the three parties between the venue and Ticketmaster themselves. There are crypto projects that attempt to address that issue. They won't be able to solve it because there's contractual obligations between the venues and Ticketmaster already that no amount of crypto can solve. You'll never get a crypto listing for a good venue because they contractually cannot do so because they're already locked up by another entity.
Obviously, it's only got like a limited amount of time though. Like it's not for now until eternity in terms of...
You'd be surprised, bro. You know how like Google just bought ITA, and ITA had all of flight data for knowing what flights you could get to go anywhere for 30 years, 50 years. It took them 50 years, and they're still not out of the loop. They're still in the loop, and Google just has access to the data. Like, these entrenched monopolies can be around for a fucking long time. Like, people are still sending IBM money for maintenance and like on mainframes. Like, this shit could be around for a long time. Like some things don't get better. Like the DMV hasn't gotten better. Speeding tickets haven't gotten better. Like a lot of shit just gets worse. So it's a weird tangent because the only way you will ever find utility from including the blockchain in what you're doing is if you need censorship resistance. If you need fast, everything else is faster. If you need throughput, everything else has more throughput. If you need cheap, everything else is more cheap. If you need like uptime, you could say blockchain has pretty good uptime, maybe. What do you do when there's a fork? Stop transacting. Yeah. Okay, so people say Bitcoin's never down, but you're like, motherfucker, all the exchanges stop accepting transactions during this fork period, so actually it's down. Like, it's actually down. Like, let's not pretend.
A few years back where they rolled it back a couple hours.
Right, like, I mean, I hate that these people, in their fervor to be bullish, just spread so much bullshit. I watched this dude named Anthony Pompilano on television say that if you don't believe in Bitcoin, you don't believe in cryptography. Those two things don't, like, nah, man, no. That Bitcoin would be like
cryptography, but it's not
right. Yeah, that'd be like going on TV. What crypto couldn't go on TV and say that same inaccurate conflating bullshit? Like XRP could go on TV and be like, if you don't believe in XRP, you don't believe in cryptography. Like if you don't believe in Apple, you don't believe in computers. You're like, no, motherfucker, we got other computers. We got like, there's no, you can't just say that. It was fucking enraging. Like that'd be like me going on there and be like, if you don't believe in Bitcoin, you don't believe in the alphabet. We got the letter B, we got the letter I. Look at all these letters we got, bro. You don't believe in the alphabet? You better buy some Bitcoin. This shit don't make no sense.
There's 7 of them. We use one of them twice.
Look at all these vowels. Yeah. We're like almost 50% vowels.
I would like to buy a vowel for $50, please. Right, there you go. We've already.
All right, let's see another chat here. How do you envision the cashing out process for HEX to turn into something like a house or a car? Well, if you really needed access to the money, you have a couple options. One, you could have guessed how long you wanted to wait until you had access to it, and then it would come off stake when you needed to. Or two, if you served half your time, you can end your stake without being penalized. But if you didn't serve half your time and you try and end your stake early, the emergency end stake, you're going to get hammered with fees. What else? Or you could use what they use in normal CDs, which is called laddering. And that's where you get a smaller CD, but you have them expiring over time. And so you get the most yield on your longest one, the least yield on your shortest one, but you've always got money available to you, and you're not worried about having to emergency end stake, if you need money. So laddering could be a solution. Now, we made an incentive to prevent people from laddering called Bigger Pays Better because we want you to have a reason to not spam up the blockchain with your transactions. So if you're doing less transactions and putting more economic mass in, great, then you're going to get a slightly higher interest rate because of that. And technically, you're going to get more shares is what you're going to get. What else? Yeah, so then you just sell it on an exchange like anybody else, right? We'll be on Ether Delta when we launch because anyone can add it. IDEX says they want to list it. Now that we're in audit, or will be in audit tomorrow or the day after, I'm going to start calling exchanges and see if they want to list because we're close, right? Like being in audit is about as close as you can get before launch. So, I mean, I think it's a good time to start making those calls. You don't have any other question on your list? You don't want to ask your wife if she's got any questions? Does she like my shirt? Probably not. Nobody likes this shirt. I got tired of wearing black shirts, homies. I have a finite number of shirts that still fit me, and this was one of them. So that's how much thought went into this. I wish it wasn't so thick. This is a high-quality, thick shirt. I'm sweating my ass off under these chandelier. Richard, if ETH 2.0 happens, then why stake HEX over ETH? Because ETH pays less. And if you looked at their price chart, it's fucked. So ETH is at like all-time BTC lows, lower than ICO price. It's been slightly even lower before, but not for long. So the chart just looks like shit would be an easy answer to that one. Richard knows a lot about a lot. Thank you. You should watch me eat. I know how to eat. Yeah, look, I mean, chat doesn't suck as much as normal. I'll answer their questions while you're gone, bro.
Yeah,
go have fun.
I've seen your chat sometimes, but hey, look, thank you so much for having me on
pleasure,
the show,
man.
Like, real pleasure.
I hope that your Digi asset thing works out.
Yeah. Hey, look, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep us posted as well with HEX. I mean, I follow you on stuff,
right.
so. But
hey,
thank
honest
you for your
proof of
time,
works
man.
coins. I don't have any problem. I mean, works for me. Litecoin, Digibyte, Ethereum, Bitcoin. Seems legit. Seems fair. Good talking with you, bro. Thanks for having me.
Man, have a great evening.
Ciao.
Or morning. Cheers.